Hello and welcome for this video. Today we will be looking at how to get started using Trados Studio 2022. So if you've seen the overview video I did on Robert's channel, you know that there is a lot in SDL. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you go watch it and then watch this video here. So my goal is to try to make it as simple as possible, and when you reach the end of the video, well, leave a comment and tell me how I've done, because explaining simply SDL sometimes can be a bit challenging. So when you are for the first time opening Trados, it will give you this big message here, and you will be able to click on see what's new or watch the get started video. So if you want to do that, you can have a look. And here you are on your welcome screen, and here you can see you have for the important things, you can see here the App Store, you can see your project settings and your create auto-suggest dictionary. And there is also something that you will be using a lot, this bottom left area that has the welcome, the projects, the files, the reports, the editor, and the translation memories view. And if you click on projects, you have the list of the projects that are currently being able to be accessed with Trados Studio. You have your files. So the files are the files that are included in the open project at the moment. So you see here, this one is in bold. So if I click on files, I will see the files that belong to the projects that was in bold. Report, well, that's if you want to analyze and get reports. I won't be getting into details for that. Editor is where you are translating. And translation memories view is where you look at your local translation memories. There is also this file area that will be useful to you. That's where you can decide to close, so that will close the file that is opened. If you have several files open, you can use close all. That's where you can choose to open packages, translation memory, and that's where you find your options as well. If you click on new, you will be able to create a new local project, a new cloud project, and the translation memories and so forth. So you can do that from here, or you can do it from the other area. So for example, if we go to the projects view, which is the view that you will be using the most for starting, we find here our new project button and our open project button as well. Just to let you know, there is no way to close a project being currently open. You can close files that are open in the editor, but not here. Okay, so basically you are switching from one project to the other, and when you are opening a project, it closes the previous one. So let's say, for example, I move to project 3. Well, then in my files, I only see that, but in the editor, it didn't close the previous files. So that's where I want to go, file, close all. Okay, so now my files are all closed, and I see that this project here is still open. So now that I have closed everything, that's the best place to start to create a new project. So let's see now how to create a new project. So you click on new project, you select local project, and here you have your template. Okay, so you have the default project template for new users. Now remember this, okay, because that's something that you will need to have set up for you in future steps. So now I have my source language. I'm going to change the target language. I'm going to add French. Okay. So that's done. The location path of the project, I suggest you keep the autofill unless you want to have your own folder structure. Okay. And here we can add the files that we want to translate. So I have added here 3 files. Okay, so there is a PowerPoint and there are 2 Word files. Okay, so the next step. Okay, so you follow here steps 1, 2, 3. Okay, you can decide to finish, but I think it's a good idea to look at what's happening. So general, that's for your project description, and useful things you can have set up for yourself to remember what the project is about. Translation resources. Now, this is a very important step. Okay, so let's say I am going to create my first translation memory. So let's do that. Okay, create a translation memory. I will give that a name. So video TM. I don't need a description. Okay, and here it tells me the location where it's going to be. I can decide to change the place it's stored at, but for the moment that's fine by me. The fields, there's nothing I'll be doing with that for the moment, neither with language resources. So let's finish. Close. Okay, so now I have my translation memory added here. Now let's move to term bases. I need also to create a term base since it's my first time working with Trados. So let's use this wizard. Next, create a new TermBase definition from scratch. That's what I want to do. Friendly name. Okay, video TermBase. Next, languages. Okay, so that will be English. And I will be doing that with French. Okay, so you can have more than language pair in there, but so I'll be keeping this simple for the moment, just one language pair. So I go for next. Here in the descriptive fields, I'm not going to use that for the moment, so I click on next, next again, and then I click on finish. Okay, so now I have my video term based here and it's enabled. Click on next. Trados group share, I won't be using that. Perfect match, that's for specific use, so using files that you have translated before and using them as a reference, so I won't be doing that. Batch tasks, so this is interesting. I suggest you keep the defaults here, and basically that's once you are finished, that's what will be done automatically with that new project. So the files will be analyzed, they will be pre-translated. That means if there is something in the translation memory, your file will be translated with that, and it will apply fuzzy bands and perfect match. And that's the summary. And finish, we are ready. So we see here the batch tasks happening and we are done. So just look at that here. Do not store settings for future use. Okay. Update the template on which you base the project, or create a new project template based on this project. Once you handle better how you want things to be in SDL, I suggest you click on this here and you store somewhere your project template, because that will be very useful to you in the future. So now let's close. Okay, so I am here in project 6, the project I just created, and let me open it. I can see here my 3 files. Okay, let's now open a file here. Okay, so I can double click on it to open it, or I can use the right click to open for translation, or click on open for translation. Okay, so now I have this view which has the source on the left, the target on the right. Just above here I have the area where my translation matches results will reside, and that's the same area that will be used for several things. Okay, so I have here my translation results. There's nothing in my translation memory yet. Fragment matches, concordance, comments, quality assessment, and messages. So that will all go in there, and there are tabs. Okay, and Trados automatically switches from one to the other when there is information to display, but you can also switch yourself by clicking on them. Here you have the TermBase, and on the right here you have your preview. I can choose between Microsoft Word and HTML. Microsoft Word will open Microsoft Word, or HTML will allow me to see things in this window here, so I will select HTML. So basically that's the look of where I am, and here I am in segment 1, so it's highlighted in green, and if I move to segment 2, then it moves to segment 2 as well on the left hand side here. And I still have here the useful tips window. So all these that are around here, I can undock them or redock them. And the simple way of doing that, so let's say for example I have two screens and I want to move the preview to a second screen. I just get in this top area here and I double click and it comes out. Okay, so now I can move it wherever I want, or then I can double click again and it comes back to where it was previously. Okay, so all these work the same here. Now talking about the looks of the application, here I can go into view and I can decide to change the color scheme depending on what is the best comfort for my eyesight. I go into color scheme, I can change to dark gray, or I can change to light gray, or I can come back to white, which is the default. I can also change the user interface language. So there are not many languages available, but still there are some, so that can be useful to you. Here is the list of languages where you can change the application language. Okay, so these are the languages available to you if that's something that you want to use. And you can do some more customization regarding the ribbon and things like that. Now, let's go back to home. And let's say I want to translate this first segment here. Okay, so signe. If I want to fix here the spelling, I just do a right click and the dictionary fixes that for me. And if I want to send that result to the translation memory and move to the second segment, what I need to do is use this confirm button here. So if I hover over it, it tells me that the shortcut for that is Control and Enter. So let's do that. Okay, so now I move to the second segment. Okay, so the second segment is full of tags. So to deal with tags, especially when there are many, what you can do is you can decide to copy source to target. So that will fill it here, and then you can decide to translate in between the tags. Other option is you can use the automatically insert tags, or you can use the quick place option, and the quick place option will give you all the tags that are available and you can choose from them. So if you click on them, it tells you where you are. So you see here it's highlighted. So if I want the first one, then I click on enter. It gives it to me here and I type symptom. So I see here that symptom has been put as it should, okay, as a hyperlink. This word symptom is coming back quite often, so let's add it as a term. So I selected it here on both ends. I do a right click and add new term. Okay. So I have the English symptoms, the French symptom already ready for me. So I can say I need to type it again and I have it here, okay, for quick insert. So I just click on enter and it's here for me because I have added it here in my TermBase and I see it listed here. If I navigate that file, I see that I have here in segment 91 something that looks very similar to what I have here at the beginning. Okay, so I have a 92% match and my translation memory has showed it to me and it tells me here that it's a 92% match. So that's this for the basics here for this file, and as I progress, of course, I can click on Save Document, and that saves my progress on that document. If I want to open another document from the same project, I can do that. I just go to Files, and here, for example, I will open this PowerPoint. Okay, so it's now opened, and I see here I have still my other document open on the left, and now I have it here on another tab in this section here. It is interesting. Something that I like is that it gives you the breakdown of what is in that file. Okay, so for it to appear clearer, let me close the other document we're working on. So it's here, and now to close it, I use this cross here. Okay, now it's closed, and we still have the PowerPoint. So if you look on the left, it gives you the breakdown. It tells you that depending on the slide, you get a text box. You also get an Excel spreadsheet in some area. So that's very interesting. So that's useful. You can navigate with that here, and it takes you to different sections depending on what these are. Very useful. So let me close that PowerPoint. And now I will be translating this short file and show you how to get your translated document. Okay, so I'm learning to use Trados. And okay, so I have done these two. So that file is complete. And if I go now to File on the top left, I get the option Save Target As, okay, which will enable me to get a translated version of the document, so which I have just translated now. Okay, so I am in this active document with two segments, and now I can decide where I want to save it. Okay, so that's one option. There is another option which I do prefer, which is in batch tasks. So let's click on this. You have the top option called Finalize. So let's click on this. And this option is quite nice because it allows you to update the main translation memories and generate target translations. Okay, so let's do next. Here it gives me the options on how I want to update my translation memory when finishing that document, which is very nice. And now if I click on Finish, it does that. I can click on Close. So it did close my file at the same time. If I go back to Files now, I see that this document that has been translated. And now if I want to get my translated document, with a right click, I click on Explore Containing Folder. And here I am this FR, so that's Target Language section. And if I double click on it, I have my target translated document. So if you want to keep everything in the same place and update your translation memory at the same time, you can use the batch task and use the option Finalize. Now, what many translators do in their different CAT tools is they add files in projects after the fact. So for example, I have 3 files in my project now. Let's say I want to add another one. So to do that, for example, I can drag and drop it, okay? And then it gives me the option to add it as a reference file or a source file. So I click on Add Source File, okay? And if I go into it, now I get an issue here, okay? So basically avoid using that system because it creates problems here. Okay, so I get an error. So basically what you want to do is you want to create a project, work on the files that are in that project, and then if you get new files, you create a new project. It's a lot better. You can also use the option Add Files here, but what I suggest really is keep things in separated projects. That will work better for you.